You're welcome. Look, what I wanted to bring up, and I think this is pretty important that a lot of people don't really realize, is the level of productivity that is lost just in our normal everyday life when it comes to things like chronic pain or acute pain. You know, something happens, you played volleyball or basketball over the weekend, or you were doing some fix-it stuff around the house. The biggest problem that I ever found for me was I was in a big car accident years ago and was actually in a walker for quite some time and a cane. And in fact, you know, most people don't even know this. I don't even know if I guess I'll share it with you because I want people to know. But there was a period of time when I actually had to crawl around my house, crawl up the stairs. It was that level of pain. And it was a series of things that got me to be able to reasonably function, which was deep tissue massage, Pilates, those kinds of things. And then the chiropractic care that I started with you probably 2 years ago, maybe 3 years, probably,
yeah, something like that.
And started out as actually before that with my son. I brought my son in who was having some major issues, and I saw the difference in his life. And folks, look, the bottom line is you're going to mess up your body, and that you might make mistakes, and maybe it's 20 or 30 years. You're not going to expect results within 15 minutes. That's going to make everything different. At least I didn't. But I did experience results quickly, something. And then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And after, I don't know, multiple times a week, probably for 3 or 4 weeks, life changed quickly. You know, business increased because I was able to see clients and be able to function and didn't have to cancel appointments, right? Because a lot of us have to do that where our life is, you know, it's on hold. And your family, your relationships. Look, all of you know you're grumpy when you're in pain. Your kids, your wife, your husband, they know that you're not always the most pleasant to be around, especially if you have a migraine or if your back hurts or whatever it might be. So I just wanted to make sure that folks understood from my perspective, running, you know, a multi-million-dollar financial firm in Santa Clarita, that we're somebody who still gets hurt. And our family-run business, if you will, still is impacted by people, me, my wife, my kids, whoever is not feeling well at the moment. But here's what makes a difference. When we came in and saw you, and we started step by step, you changed our lives. And folks, for those of you that are clients, it changed your life because, right, we were able to see you and hopefully make a difference in your family's financial life, and it all came from being able to function. So
I love that. Thank
you. Big difference.
Yeah, this is why I go to work every day. You know, whatever level people come in with, whether it is just an acute problem, you know, I tweaked myself, I just need some relief, and you're able to give it to them, or something as impactful as what you've really experienced in your family, because I know people suffer needlessly. I mean, suffer needlessly for years. Seeing specialists for years, getting the runaround and not getting the results. Unfortunately, I see that more so than anything else, because if it worked, they would never get to me.
Right. You're somebody. I think of it this way: if I was to go to an ice cream store, some great ones in town, walk in and I say, "Hey, how are you?" They look at all the flavors and I say, "Hi, I'd like some hot soup, please." They would look at me and go, "You're crazy. What are you thinking? You know, it says ice cream." So imagine for a minute you go to a surgeon's office and you ask for anything else. What is the one thing that a surgeon does? And they're great people. I'm not putting them down. They saved my bacon over, you know, many periods of time. But don't be surprised if a surgeon's office says, "Oh, you need surgery." Really? Imagine that. Or you go to a podiatrist and you ask them for, you know, brain surgery advice. They're great at what they do. That's why you go to them. But don't expect healing from a place that does surgery, or healing from a place that does just maintenance. If you want to get better, you have to take this into your own hands. I had to learn that years ago, you know, because I was injured on the job. I was a Los Angeles policeman for almost 11 years, and in a big car accident in March of 1994. And folks, you trust the people that work for you, or that are supposed to work for you, your doctors, your adjusters, all those people, right? If you get hurt on the job, it's a miserable thing because your income is also impacted. And you think they have your best interest at heart. And individually, I'm sure they're wonderful parents, grandparents, people, good. But the system today, especially today, is not designed to make you better. It's to make you go away. And those are two separate results. So you take control of your own care, you might have to go and get a deep tissue massage like I did. If it makes your life better, great, then maybe you don't need anything else. But I'm telling you that little tiny things that you did for us, and it's weird, Tom, I don't understand it, I still don't. Right? I'm a numbers guy, I'm numbers and logic, that's all I do. And the things that you do for people are different. You go to you get things that everybody who is an expert in their field understands your own field. Right? If I walked into an engineer's office or a school teacher, they're great at what they do, and I couldn't even tell you anything about their job. I know my job. And you are at that level in the care and feeling of people that is not somebody I've ever found in, and I've been to, I don't know, 60, 80 doctors and professionals, health professionals maybe.
And you can afford to go to the best.
Well, thankfully I can. You know, when I retired from the police department, they gave me a whole $1,500 a month in a pension. I don't even know if it was my house payment, it might have been. But here's a guy in a walker, two kids at the time and a wife, and a mortgage, a couple of car payments, and they say, okay, good luck, bud. You go do it. Thankfully, I had some investments in a business and other things on the side that was able to help me survive through the pain and trying to rebuild my financial life and also to rebuild my physical life. But you know, we have been blessed now to be able to afford maybe a little bit more than the average person. And I can tell you that, number one, you can close your ears for a minute, but he's a steal. What a discount, folks. Because the productivity that I can do at work, the people I can see, the folks I can help, the money that I can make, the jobs, the sick time I don't have to take, you know, the vacations I can actually enjoy. There's a different level of life. You know, I had one of the best weekends I've ever had in my life this past weekend with my family. We acted silly, we went to the play and had dinner, and we were able to do that, all of us, because you treat more than just me, you treat a couple other people in my family. All of us were able to enjoy it because of things that you did for us. You weren't even there, you were probably sleeping or whatever you're doing, and we were out having fun. So that's why I wanted to be here. I think people need to know that it goes beyond just a single, you know, visit, if you will.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
Someone so impactful in this community, to know that I had something to help you get through that with you and your family is, you know, why I do it.
Yeah, you know, I can tell. You can tell when you see somebody who's passionate about their job. There are certainly chiropractors in the community that are business and numbers, and one in the door, out the door, quick. Everybody's. That is certainly, maybe there's a place for that, of course, because people go. But if you want true healing, something with a beginning, middle, and an end, and then a maintenance, if you will, you know, there are times when I don't go for maybe a month, and then there are times when I'm there 3 days a week. It just depends how my schedule is, how yours is, right? Everybody's busy. But what the difference is, the productivity that we can have in our own lives for a 10, 15-minute visit is amazing. You know, I went to chiropractors before I met you. Had some moderate success. It was short term. But the difference was not about the numbers there. You know, the difference for you, it's about the care, it's about the feeling, it's about you're very intuitive. Like, I don't know if that's the right word to use, but you know, somebody can walk into me and within 5 minutes I can tell you if I can help you or not, where you are, you know, mentally and financially, etc. You walk into an office for Dr. Polucki and you say, hey, I know that you're watching how I walk, how I sit, what my head is doing, where my shoulders are. And one of the amazing things that you talked about before was how all of the nerve endings for your feet, your legs, your arms, everything, comes through the neck. And so I never got that before. Think of it just for a minute. All right, you have the interchange of the 101 and the 405 freeway in Sherman Oaks. And as that interchange comes through, does that not affect if you're coming from the airport? Does that not affect if you're coming from Santa Clarita? Of course it does. Miles and miles away. Because what happens where everything comes together can affect miles down the road. Well, that's the same thing. Where all of those nerves come together, you taught me, in our neck, if that is not on track, if it's not doing what it's supposed to do, my fingers can tingle, my legs can tingle, my arms can, right? Things can happen further down the road, and where I think a traditional doctor treats that.
Sure.
And forgets to go back and treat, you know, the intersection, if you will.
Yeah, and anything, even a really gifted surgeon repairing a shoulder, if they don't look at this area, if they don't look at, you know, is there some kind of contributing factor coming out of the neck? Because there's, just in connective tissue alone, there's over 20 connections between the neck and shoulder. And if you don't have that interrelationship dialed in, it doesn't matter how great a surgeon you have work on that shoulder. They may be the person who created that procedure and teaches it at university. If they don't address a contributing factor, your results are going to be impeded.
That's right.
If even you get any results.
See, I've always been a proponent of, in my field, of working together. If you go to one financial person and they tell you, I can do your trust, I can do your mutual funds, I can do your stocks, your bonds, your real estate, your I think that there should be a red flag. Not because they don't have a good heart, not because they're smart, but because nobody can be that good at everything. Nobody. It's the same thing that if you go to a doctor, a surgeon, a family practice doctor, I think you should coordinate. And that should be the part of, now it's become our responsibility. It didn't used to be. Right? Same thing with your financial life. You would come into me and, to quote, the financial professional will do everything for you, and you walk out the door. Now we say, listen, we're not your tax preparers, we're not your CPAs. We need to talk to them and make sure that what we're doing coordinates with the other part. If you have a corporation and we're doing a company retirement plan, we're not your attorney that's going to set up your corporation, or we're not the attorney that's going to set up your living trust. People can do living trust for, you know, online. That's up to you. We say, listen, the bottom line is you need to have a team of professionals that work together. Well, that's the same thing from a health or a wealth. It's funny how the two industries are now on track.
Yeah.
And the responsibility shifted, in this case, from the government financially to you personally. And guess what's happened with your health care? It's shifted from you personally to the government, and now it's come back into your hand because, as we can tell, the Obamacare setup has been a mess. Look at the enrollment.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It has ruined the financial, the health system that we have. I mean, look at the numbers, depending on where you want to look. But what that's done is it says you have to handle your own financial and your own health. Otherwise, I think you're going to be missing.
Yeah, it's one thing that you can't plan for. You can't plan for, when I'm 67, I'm going to have a brush with prostate cancer,
yeah,
or I'm going to, you know, get an arthritic hip or something like that. You can't plan for that. You don't know that that's coming down. You don't know whether you're going to have a heart attack on Wednesday or not.
Sure.
But you can do things in your life now, starting now, to minimize your risk.
That's right.
And I think that's the smartest approach there is. I mean, people don't want to know. People don't want to, you know, I can get through my day, I can get up. If I can get out of the bed every morning, go to work, and come home and, you know, spend some time with my family, it's all good. But the statistics don't lie. We've got a real healthcare crisis in this country. We represent 5% of the world population, and we take more than 80% of the pharmaceuticals manufactured on the planet. That's a big discrepancy.
You know, this is I couldn't control the day that I got hit in a car, you know, in Northridge when I was driving my police car. My son's good friend couldn't control that he got hit and nearly killed his lung collapse. But I could control the health, how much I worked out, how strong my lungs were, my heart. My son's friend recently, who was in this big car accident, they said anybody else without the health and the physical fitness of this particular young man, he would have died, no question about it. So you may not be able to control getting prostate cancer because maybe there's other environmental or genetic. You may not be able to control whether or not you're going to get into a car accident, right? You're driving and it's not your fault. But you can control how quickly your body recovers. You can control
Absolutely.
how quickly or how much damage actually occurs and how quickly you heal. Those are very powerful things that are in our hands. A friend of mine, male, got breast cancer, and they had to go in and remove a big part of his breast. And he's alive today because he was a very health conscious person beforehand. The things that he ate, the way that he lived, he wasn't overweight, he worked out a little bit. So those kinds of things. He was just a guy in his early 60s. So, surprise, just happens.
Yeah. And it can be devastating. It's the #1 cause of bankruptcy, foreclosure, is a health crisis.
That's right, it sure is.
So that's what our programs are all about, trying to reduce the risk. Or even if you are going to get a bad hand at some point in the future, and the unfortunate reality is you're going to get a bad hand at some point in the future, be prepared.
Yeah.
Yeah, minimize your exposure as much as possible. Like your whole thing with the financial plan, it's not so much about the big win as you're not going to lose everything if something turns south, and we know that eventually something is going to turn south.
And we specialize in making sure people keep a portion of their money that's safe, whether it's some part or all. They always want to have something, in my opinion, set aside safe where it's not going to go down if the market or the real estate market or the stock market or whatever. There's a reason why the rich get richer. People think they're evil or bad. No, because they plan understanding that the economy does go up and down. The reason the rich get richer is because when that happens and you didn't prepare and you have to sell your things at a discount, they pick it up. And then when it goes back up in value, they surprise. It's the same thing, health. There's a reason that, quote, the rich or the good-looking or the physically fit survive a lot of these devastating diseases and accidents, because they have prepared.